It all fell apart one late evening. A cold office light, opaque windowed meeting room, 6 p.m. Friday. I was sitting there waiting for a performance review of what I thought had really been a great year. All my objectives met, many surpassed despite enormous adversity. That was my take on the year. My boss comes in, and without any prepping or anticipation, lays out the sentence. You know the organizational changes we're making, right? I said, yeah, 40% of the target's mine. Well, he said, I wanted to make use of the moment when we will be announcing these to also communicate your move out of your position. What? What do you mean by that? And what followed was a blur of weird memories. My life fell apart right then and there. Me, the talented C-suite executive, the first female director in one company, the first president of an industry in another, leading an enormous group in a very big multinational organization, fired. Who was I? Who was I now? Who was I now without a corporate badge? How do I describe myself? How do I overcome the weirdness, the awkwardness, the embarrassment of telling my friends, my family, my children? How couldn't I have seen this coming? Fast forward, a few months later that same year, I'm sitting on the side of an isolated trail on the Camino de Santiago, 5 blisters on my feet, looking at the one that had just burst inside my tennis shoes, all alone, staring at my feet and thinking, when the hell did I think this was a good idea? Fast forward again, 28 days later, I arrive at the church square in Santiago de Compostela, exhausted, but exhilarated, and with one certainty in my mind, that I would dedicate my vital energy in the years I had ahead of me to understanding and fostering regeneration of ecosystems, of my own life, and of those in my circle of influence. I had already joined a few boards before I had left, and I joined a few more with people and organizations that I trusted and believed in. I opened my own company, Camomila, my playing field and ground to test ideas and experiment in the areas of the regeneration of food systems, gender and creativity, and biomimicry. And later this year, or earlier this year, I had the immense pleasure to accept the invitation to lead an investment fund to nurture and take capital flows to invest in the socio-bioeconomy in the 6 biomes of Brazil, coastal zones, and mangroves. The fund that has the audacity to think that we can use capital to regenerate that which capital itself has helped to destroy. One that wants to make the investment arrive in the land, in the hands of the people who are protecting the biomes and are actually very much outcasts of the financial system. structuring these financial systems in a way that we look at the systemic asymmetries that exist in the world and design our business model and the credit instruments to allow for these asymmetries to be reduced. Reaching quilombolas, reaching indigenous people, reaching smallholder farmers, and many more. And doing this in a way where the payment terms, the guarantees, and the profit and risk assumptions are very different from what we currently see in the financial systems. We don't want to maximize profit and reduce risk in a framework where that has been leading to wealth concentration and destruction of life. This fund has been very important also because in my process of my own regeneration, I have learned to allow life to arrive at me without resistance. I have learned to listen profoundly and be conscious of my own biases when I'm dealing with situations and with people. And that has been fundamental for the work that has been done both at Camomila as well as in the structuring of this financial fund. We aim to combine the return on the investment for those who are investing in the fund and expect good return, adequate return, not maximized return, with the benefited communities, with the presence in the different biomes, with the nurturing of the agroecological practices of the people who are in the land, and with a capacity to offer credit instruments that have interest rates that are significantly lower than that which, if they could access financial systems, they would actually have. This process has been amazing, and the initial results in the investments that we have made so far have been so good, and that have only strengthened my own belief that a different operating playing field is so possible when where trust is at the heart of the relationships, and while we are not looking to maximize profit and minimize risk, we are actually looking to redefine value creation and fair distribution of that value. And encountering and talking to these men and these women and understanding the amazing projects that they are setting up and making sure that that credit instrument arrives at the right time with the right structure and the right terms has been so inspiring. All of the projects that we have to adhere to at least 3 principles. And this was based on a study that was done by professors and researchers at Embrapa and other academic institutions in defining bioeconomy. And what it has to do is it cannot be in any way related to deforestation. It has to protect biodiversity and the ecosystems in which they are embedded, and they have to reduce inequalities. If these 3 things aren't matched, it doesn't fall into the thesis of the investment fund. The other thing that we've seen in this process is that the stories that come through bring so much more than just the economic prosperity. Amazon Buy is one of our recent investments. This is a cooperative that was founded in 2017. It has 141 members in the Bailinque Archipelago and the Beira Amazonas region in the state of Amapá. It's a 4,500 hectare region in the Amazon biome, and it's a cooperative that supports and develops the production of acai in the region. The instrument that we've offered to them and that have actually granted the loan helps them to have working capital to offer to buy the harvests of the acai producers at the right time for a very good price. Because what usually happens is these cooperatives, although very well organized, many times just don't have the cash flow because they have payment terms that are 90 days or 120 days from the off-takers that they usually receive from. So they don't have that fluid oxygen of financial capital available. So what this grant has done is it's made possible for them to increase the purchase of these producers' harvest from 20 to 50%, increasing the overall price that's paid for the acai and helping to improve overall prosperity for all of the communities of the growers of acai in the region. But in addition to that, they also inspire and promote gender empowerment, the participation of the female producers in the cooperative and in the leading roles of the cooperatives. It's also helped through the work with other institutions like Instituto Terroir and Interelus to improve the overall governance and administrative practices of that cooperative, as well as structuring the whole value chain of the acai production system in the region. So it's much more than just the money. The money is the energy that arrives at the right time, in the right place, with the right structure, for the right means. And that is the type of prosperity we want to talk about and we want to work with. It has really been incredible. And I thank so much the possibility to interact with these people from so many different backgrounds, different age groups, ethnicities, socioeconomic levels, and look at their bravery and their capacity, their genius at putting and structuring economic activities that are almost impossible to think how they do it. They've made my life on this planet a lot more meaningful because of it. I thank very much the journey that has brought me here. And so much has happened since that awful Friday in that sterile office room. But I guess in a way that event thrusted me into my own trajectory of regeneration and flourishing. And as I felt on one cold day, early morning in the Camino de Santiago, where the miracle of life that was just showing itself in front of me in this pink and blue sky, a crisp feeling in the air, that it was almost tangible. I have found my pace. I have understood my rhythm. I am at peace. I am in flow. Thank you.